Right, so all of the equations that we looked at so far with the circle, the center of the circle was at 0, 0. So it was always just x squared plus y squared. So you can see the last example here in the homework if you went and did that on your own. This was the square root of 242, okay, and I simplified that. I broke it down and found out what I could take out from underneath the radical. And I left it in radical form because that's exact. If I turn it to a decimal, I've got to round it. So I left it in that form. Okay, now we're going to look at what if the center of the circle is not at the origin. And if it's not at the origin, instead of having just x squared, we have an h and a k value. Okay, that center is located at h, k. Those are the coordinates. So we'd say x minus h quantity squared plus y minus k quantity squared equals r squared. So when the center was at 0, 0, okay, if I put 0 in here, I would have x minus 0 squared plus y minus 0 squared equals r squared. Well, when you subtract 0 from x, you just get x. And when you subtract 0 from y, you're just going to get y. Okay, so that's why that was the equation when the center was at 0, 0. Okay, it's not always going to be at 0, 0, however. We're going to have different centers, so you're going to have a different h and k value. Okay, for example, it says graph the circle and list its center and the radius. So the center, okay, right here, these are my values that I'm looking at for the center. And remember, the subtraction sign is in the formula itself. So what did I subtract? What did I subtract from x here? Well, I subtracted a 2. So that's my h value. What did I subtract? What did I subtract from y to get a plus 3? Well, you would have to subtract a negative in order for it to become positive. So this is going to be a negative 3. Okay, so you can kind of look at this and say, okay, what's going to be the opposite sign? This is going to be a positive 2, and that's going to be a negative 3. And then the radius, remember this value is r squared. So r squared equals 9. If I take the square root of both sides, r equals 3. Okay, so once you know those characteristics about your circle, then you can go ahead and you can graph it. You go to the center first. The center is at positive 2, negative 3. That's where my center is right there. And then the radius is 3. So from that center, I'm going to go 3 up. I'm going to go 3 to the right. I'm going to go 3 down. And I'm going to go 3 to the left. And I'm going to do the best I can to make it a perfect circle. Okay, that's my circle. Hardly perfect, but do the best you can. Okay, here's another one. Can't get that to make it any smaller, so I hope you can still see it. All right. So here's another equation. We know that the center is not at 0, 0 because it's not just x squared plus y squared. We've got a center somewhere else here. So to find that center, you're looking at your h and your k values. Okay, your center. Since this is a plus, what did we have to subtract from x to make it a plus? Well, we had to subtract a negative 1. What did we subtract from y? Well, we subtracted a 3 from y. And then the radius. The radius squared is equal to 4. So if I take the square root of both sides, the radius is going to be 2. So I'm going to plot those. Negative 1, 3 would be right there. That's my center. And then the circle is 2 units in all directions from that point. So those are the points I'm trying to hit. And there's my circle. Okay, that's going to ask you also to write an equation of the circle with, here's your center, this is your h and your k value, and it has a radius of 5. So there's your r value. So you're going to write your equation x minus 3 quantity squared plus, you're going to say y minus a negative 2, and we're going to square that, equals my radius squared. Okay, we want to clean that up and simplify that. We never are going to leave 2 subtraction signs consecutively like that. So we're going to do leave, change, change. And then we want to square the 5. So I would leave my answer as x minus 3 quantity squared plus y plus 2 quantity squared equals 25. That's the equation that I would have. Okay, and that's the last question that we have for you. Go ahead and finish the worksheet, and then you've got a textbook assignment as well.